The Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Clothing, and the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast, the Parramatta Times.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Wrap here at the Duckman live on Pulse FM. And we've got special guest Troy Warner from the Paracave Podcast on with us now as well. Troy, how are you going?
Oh, going fantastic, Duckman. Lots of news in rugby league this week and looking forward to the round ahead, round 6 of the NRL.
Yeah, so did you hear the new breaking news that come up just before 6 p.m. about the Roosters and Souths?
No, what was that? I missed that one.
They're going to be merging. If they don't merge, they're going to get relegated back to New South Wales Cup. So let's just...
Is it not April Fool's, is it? Or?
No, I don't know, yeah.
Roosters and Souths merging? No.
Yeah, they're going to be run by just someone that loves another club altogether. I don't know who will get... Someone like Paul Langmack, who's played for both of them, so that might be a good idea. Or so
I don't know where you got that one from. I don't know what's going on there. You sure it's not April Fool's? So what is going on? Let's go to the game last night there. Knights against the Roosters there. The Roosters got the win 22-20. The Knights were leading for a while, weren't they? I was trying to track it while I was at TAFE. They couldn't watch it, unfortunately. But then, Kalen Ponga got injured, and the Knights fans are all very worried at the moment. And the Roosters, my favourite player, Joey Manu, turned out, had a good game, and pretty much won it for the Roosters single-handedly. Yeah, look, it was certainly an interesting game and different conditions to the last time the Knights played at Newcastle. Last week they were played in treacherous conditions, but it was a fine night up there at Newcastle. Look, Newcastle scored the first try through Jackson Hastings, and you're right, they did take the early lead, but then the Roosters hit back, and Kalen Ponga unfortunately suffered a hip flexor injury. He did come back in the second half, but he was... you could notice that he did have that injury, so I'm not too sure the extent of that injury and whether that'll keep him out for a week or two or what, or whether he'll just play through that. He did give up the goal kicking to Dane Gagai. Obviously, with the hip flexor, he couldn't kick the goals, so Dane Gagai took over that. The Roosters, they were undermanned, you could say. They had... James Tedesco and Sam Walker out with due to HIA protocols. And as you said, your favourite player, Joey Manu, went back to fullback and had an absolute blinder, 340-something metres, I think it was, run by him. And the question had been asked whether he could play fullback forever, I guess. But I guess with the Roosters, they got James Tedesco there. The Knights, they had a chance just at the end to possibly win it. Adam Elliott got close to the line, and if only he had a little bit of support, he may have been able to flick the pass out and Newcastle would have scored. But nevertheless, it was only 2 points in it at half-time and 2 points in it in full-time. So, look, the Knights will be disappointed with the loss at home, but they can take a lot out of that one, and the Roosters, they'll be glad that they got the win with those players out. Question for you, Duckman, because you're the rugby expert. Joey Manu, your favourite player, he's going to possibly Japanese rugby. What position would he play in rugby? Would he be a fullback?
Yeah, in rugby, ever be, so he could play 3 positions. You could play him anywhere in the back line, really. I don't know what his ball distribution's like as a half. Like rugby union halfbacks don't run the ball, right? They distribute the passes like a dummy half, straight out to the 5'8". So he would be a 5'8" because he can kick and he can run. 5'8", they really need a ball distributor. So like in rugby, or they call it a fly half. So he's probably not really going to play that role. more likely to play like rugby union, very different in all the roles. And number 12 is like the inside centre. It's very specific role. Like they don't have a left centre and right centre. They've got an actual inside centre. You can normally use like a bigger, robust guy there, like almost a guy that would be able to play. Like Isaiah Yeo potentially could play there and would be a good option, right? Okay. Because of how he ran. That's why Sam Burgess played there when he played for England. So they used him like a crash runner on the inside. He's probably going to play 13 or fullback, which is 15. So that would be, I think, his best position because he can kick and do all that stuff. He has played rugby before, so he could. I think he played 10, but like when he's in schoolboy rugby. But he would be like very similar, I would think, to like I'd say I don't like him. He's a brilliant player. I just think he's an arrogant snob, so right. But he's got a good kicking game. He would be something dynamic in rugby union because there's a lot more open field running and guys are more likely to miss the tackles because there's more slide defence as opposed to up and in and put person on the ground. It's not as much like that in rugby union. So he may very well carve it up, particularly in Japan. And it's big money there. Play 13 games and get 800,000 or 900,000. That's not too bad, really.
Yeah, well, certainly the Roosters are going to miss him, I guess, next year when he does leave after performances like that of last night.
Yeah, I know that if I was playing, so if I had a choice realistically, if he did stay at the Roosters, people said, Joseph Suoliti wants to be the fullback. Nah, it'd be Joey Manu, right? I think that's where you'd play him because of his open field running. It's a very different sort of player. So you could play him as number 6, as like the 5'8". I would probably play him. I wouldn't even play him as centre, right? Like, it would cause more damage. It'd be like a Darren Lockyer style player that can drop in between different spots on the field. He would be very, very difficult to deal with if he's playing fullback all the time. So I'm not surprised he did it. I still don't particularly like him. He is a very good player. Yeah, it's just arrogance around different stuff he's done. Like it's burned me for a while. I'm interested to see how he goes in rugby, but because there's a lot bigger forwards in rugby, and he'll pick them off right with static forwards that are not getting to the breakdowns quickly and that. So you can't even attempt to make the tackle in rugby, and people can't run you onside. Okay. Like you've got to wait until the kicker or a person behind the kicker runs onside. You can't just wait until the guy picks the ball up and runs 10 metres and make the tackle. Yep. Someone has to run you onside, right? So
interesting times ahead.
Yeah, he'll be good. So he would be the biggest loss. If I was the Roosters out of everyone I'd be trying to keep, he would probably be the guy, right?
Yeah.
Because he's 22 or 23 years old or something. He's going to be there for 10 years, potentially. So let him go to rugby for a few. Well, they don't control him or own him. I do think he'll come back. I do think he'll do like what Sonny Bill Williams will do. I think potentially by going to rugby next year, he puts himself eligible to be in the British and Irish Lions tour. Because they're coming to Australia for the first time in years. That's a brilliant thing. And he'll put himself right in line to be in the World Cup squad if he's still there in 2027. So if you went to rugby now, why would you stop there? So I would be playing through till at least 2027, 2028, till you can see if you're good enough to make the World Cup. You might find out he's not. But I would be very surprised if he's not, right? Because Australian rugby needs some dynamic players like him. He would be... a multiple position sort of player.
He would qualify for New Zealand, but wouldn't he, being a Kiwi?
Yeah, but they'll make him go through their whole MPC thing, so he's in their local domestic competition and go on the Super. He might be able to skip back and go straight to Super Rugby before he plays for the All Blacks, but yeah, there'd be options for him to do either or both because he hasn't played junior rugby for Australia or New Zealand, so he could play for either of them, right? Okay. He could also potentially play for Japan if he's there for 4 years.
Right, okay, interesting.
So yeah, it is different.
Well, let's get back to the rugby league.
Yeah, that's right. So how good do you actually think he is, but in rugby league? So it took Tedesco's spot. Is Tedesco at risk of losing his spot to Joey Manu potentially till the end of the season?
Oh, look, I don't think so. I think James Tedesco will come back into that fullback position once he's... he may have another week off potentially. I think it was his 10th concussion that he's had. There's been a little bit of talk about him and the fact that it's been his 10th concussion, but the Roosters, they're pretty sort of well known for their concussion they look after their players pretty well. I mean, they've had a pretty big history with obviously Boy Cordner, Jake Friend, Luke Keary as well. He's had a few over the years as well. James Tedesco as well. So they know how to manage it properly, and I don't think Joey will go back to fullback. I don't know, maybe potentially there could be, like on the field, there could be a Joey go back to fullback and then in attack, and then James Tedesco goes back in defence. But I don't think James Tedesco's got any chance of losing that spot when he's fit and ready to come back to play.
Yeah, my only problem is I'm a little bit less worried about concussions for James Tedesco. Like, if you play football for long enough, you're going to get that many concussions. It's more of a longevity and stuff he's done in his body and all that sort of stuff. Played for a long period of time, hadn't had stacks of injuries, and just showing a lot of age and wear and tear, right? So in his body now, but he perhaps wasn't doing a couple of years ago. So I wonder how much longer he has in the game at a very high elite level. So perhaps his time might be limited. Like, that's why they've been talking about New South Wales and Australia and all that sort of stuff for the future. So interested to see how that all pans out anyway moving forward. The next game, Storm and the Bulldogs. What are the Storm doing, right? They were leading 10-0 at half-time. Now it's 10-6. The Bulldogs have all of a sudden turned it on the last couple of weeks and nearly pipped the Roosters last week. Now they're bringing up the heat to the Storm.
Yeah, look, the Bulldogs at the moment, you would say it's round 6. You would say that they're probably the most improved team so far in this competition. As you said, they went down to they beat the Roosters last week, 30 points to 26.
That's right.
Although it was 26-0 at half time, and they let the Roosters back into the game, so that would be a little bit concerning. But they got the win over the Roosters, and they also they just went down on Good Friday to South Sydney, 20 points to 16. They hammered the Titans the week before. So, look, they are the most improved team of 2024 so far, and you'd almost have to think that's probably a little bit to do with Stephen Crichton coming to the club as well, having won those premierships with Penrith, and just his leadership and
mentality and attitude and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And you'd like to think that he's now captain as well, so he's brought that to the club. And look, they're just having a real go. Look, they don't have any. They do have a few superstars, but not superstar players, if you know what I mean, in the right positions. Obviously, they've got Stephen Crichton, who's been playing most of the year at centre. This game against the Storm, he's playing at fullback due to Blake Taff having a concussion, out to concussion. So he's back at fullback. But look, they've got a couple of superstar players, but they just don't have the, I guess you could say, quality halves. They've got Matt Burton in there, and they've got Drew Hutchinson in there at the moment. Good players, good player. Matt Burton, he's been under a little bit of pressure at the moment. Is 5'8" his best position? Some say maybe not. Maybe he should move out to the centre. But look, they're going great. Josh Adokar just scored a try, pretty much a length of the field job, and against his old side at his old home ground. And with 25 minutes to go, they're still in this game, 10 points to 6. So look, they're giving the Melbourne Storm a good shake. I think last year or the year before they beat Melbourne Storm down in Melbourne. So they give them a good go, and they could get this one. They could get this victory at the moment. Sam Hughes has just gone to the sin bin, unfortunately, so they're down to 12 men, but who knows? Long way to go.
Yeah, let's hope they don't, because they're stuffing me tips at the moment if they do. So they are playing good, but the Bulldogs. So it's funny how the addition of Stephen Crichton, just having an outright champion, has just changed the mentality, and everything has really made a big difference. I think in the next couple of years they're going to look very good. The Bulldogs, particularly, they need to retain the players that they got now, because they're starting to look good. Probably add one or two here and there, but not really massive turnover like they've just recently done. Next game here tonight, the Battle of Brisbane is on. So the Dolphins think they've got Brisbane covered sweet. Tom Flegler's out for the Dolphins, and the Broncos are missing a couple. I didn't even see them they're missing Pat Carrigan. I was told by a guy in Brisbane today, and I said, that's all right. He's got a man bun anyway. But there you go. So I think the Broncos will get the win still. So I think Tom Flegler is going to be a big loss. And who else is out? Herbie Farnworth or something for the Dolphins as well, I think.
Yeah, they're two big off-season signings from the Broncos. So they'll be upset that they're not playing against their old club, because we all know how players love playing their old clubs when they switch clubs in the off-season. But yeah, Herbie Farnworth is gone for about 4 to 5 weeks, and Flegler as well. I'm not too sure how long he'll be out for, but they are both out for this game against their old club. So that's a big loss for the Dolphins, who sit on top of the table at the moment. And look, they haven't played the highest teams in the competition yet. They played the Tigers, the Dragons, the Titans, those sort of clubs. But you still have to win. You still have to beat those teams that are in front of you, and that's what they've done. And the Broncos, they welcome back Reece Walsh back into the fold. He'll probably be wearing a special headgear on tonight that protects his cheekbone a little bit more as well. But that's a big in for them as Jock Madden, he replaces Adam Reynolds, who's out with a leg injury. I think it's a hamstring, so big loss for them moving forward. But they do get Reece Walsh back in. Dean Mariner as well, the winger, he's out as well. He has been scoring tries in pretty much every game, so big loss for them as well there. But Reece Walsh big in. And the third edition of the Battle of Brisbane, so the Broncos, they'll want to make it their home, as Katoni Staggs said when he scored that try in the first game.
Yeah, I saw Kevy Walters say yesterday, Redcliffe's not even part of Brisbane, mate. It's not even in Brisbane. So, yeah, all right. Yeah, nice. I like how he's firing the shots across the bow. So
yeah.
I know there's a lot of people are not talking to each other up in Brisbane and that stuff at the moment. So it's fantastic. I'm loving it. So it's the best to see, I can tell you.
Yeah, it should be about 50,000 there too tonight. It should be a massive crowd at Suncorp.
Yeah, it's right. The rivalry's building up well. But this is what needs some more local derby rivalry things in the NRL. So that's why having another New Zealand side wouldn't be a bad thing. Speaking about New Zealand, the Warriors are up against the Seagulls. That is tomorrow at 3 p.m. I reckon the Warriors are going to get the business done. So they were good last week, and Seagulls were pretty good against Penrith, even with the knock-on try. So, but even with that, they still beat Penrith anyway, so not sooking about that. A bit annoyed about the person who turned up at my brother-in-law's 40th birthday party and realised I went for Penrith, so he went home and put on all his Manly gear. Just like, good on you, your special unit. So they always get a few of them around. So he looked like a Joey Manu fan too, that guy. So it's really annoying me, trust me.
Yeah, look, this could be the game of the round, I think, possibly. The Warriors, they've probably been one of the form teams of the competition. Even though they're sitting in 6th position on the ladder, they've had a few close losses, but they really put the cleaners through South Sydney last week at Accor Stadium. But they welcome back Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, the man mullet, and the flying mullet, I should say, and Kurt Capewell comes back into the side, so that only strengthens them even more. So that's a couple of big ins for them. And for Manly, Ruben Garrick is out, and the interesting thing is Ben Trebojevic has been moved to the centre. He's been playing second row for for the season, and so now he's into the centre position. He has played there before. So he does have that little bit of experience. But look, as I said, this could be the match of the round. DCE, he celebrated his club record playing games, 310 at Brookvale last week, so he'll be on a high after that. But it's always a tough gig going to New Zealand to get the win, so I'm tipping the Warriors in this one.
Yeah, so I reckon Warriors got it covered. Just before we kick on to the next game, what's going on with Schuster there in Manly? Like they've just let him go. Pretty much said, see you later, Josh Schuster. We don't need you. You're overweight and it's in your contract. It can't be like that. last time I checked, Hamole Olakauatu, he looks like a pretty big unit too. So I don't know what Manly's got going on, but should they be flicking him? Should they be paying him anything, or should they just give him a bit of a fine and give him a rev up, or what's going on? So they've just told him he's out of here. They can cut him. He can do his own thing now.
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting week for Manly and for Josh. I think at the start of the week it was Josh was told that next season he could be looking for another club if he wanted to go there. And yeah, as you said today, he's been cut effective immediately. So he was on a big deal, I think, starting next year. I think it was like 800,000 or something a season. So big money for potential. And look, he does have potential if he can get his mind right, his body right, and because he has shown that in games. I remember a game I think it was last year against Parramatta. I think he was man of the match. So he had try assists left, right, and centre, and he just had a really good game. But yeah, I don't know what's happened there and those sort of clauses, because I guess if you're going to be paying that amount of money, you probably want something in a contract to save yourself, I guess. But yeah, Josh has found himself out of Manly effective immediately, and I don't know where he would end up. I think the best thing for him at the moment potentially could be to go down to a Melbourne Storm if they wanted him. Just to be under Craig Bellamy and just get under that coaching of him and put him, I guess, not so much through the ringer, but we all know what Craig is like, how he can turn players that are fringe first graders into reliable, good first graders week in, week out. So potentially that could be a move if the Melbourne Storm are interested, but I don't know where he will end up or who is interested in Josh Schuster.
I reckon he could go to West Tigers. He might be the sort of player. I thought that John Bateman might add something to him last year, but he just didn't have X Factor stuff. Maybe Josh Schuster could be the guy that does that, so he could add something different to them, what they've got now for sure. But we'll add to Justin Olam and also Jerome Luai. Like I think he'd get a lot out of something like that. So either that, or he needs to go somewhere where it's effectively like boot camp and they're going to rip him one. So both have benefits, right, and pros and cons too. But yeah, right. If people are going to pay $800,000 a year or whatever, they want to see a bit of return on investment. So whatever that's going to look like. So if he's not sticking to the plan, we're not going to start paying him $800,000 if it's not even close. We'll look at this next game here. So the Eels up against the Cowboys tomorrow night, 5:30 p.m. I honestly can't remember who I tipped in this game. I think I tipped the Eels, but I might have tipped the Cowboys because the Eels they're full on missing a cannon at the moment. So by not having Mitchell Moses there, Dylan Brown didn't work so well with him at halfback last week, and I'm not sure if that's the right fit. They got a young bloke that's playing in New South Wales Cup or whatever. Like, I don't know how good, bad, or indifferent he is. I've never seen him before. But surely you'd be looking at another halfback, wouldn't you? And like I said last night or something, the footy show when they're talking about it, wouldn't you just get a journeyman who's been around for like a squealing years and done it before somewhere else? Like you'd get like a Josh Reynolds style player and just carry him a bit. So explicitly for the purpose of playing games if your key playmakers out, so they're just a backup for you.
Yeah, well, this is an interesting game, and first of all, happy birthday to the Parramatta Eels, 77 years old today. They joined the competition, or they played their first game in the competition on this day, 1947, so happy birthday, 77 years old. Older than O.J. Simpson now too. Well, there you go. But yeah, look, this game is going to be interesting. The Cowboys, they're in second position, but they have been known to leak in a few points. I think an average of about 24 points a game. So they can score points, but they do let in a lot of points. Parramatta under pressure. Coach Brett Arthur under pressure. There's been talk about Wayne Bennett coming to the club as coach in 2025. Wayne's not talking about that. Brad's not talking about that. There's talk that Dijon Arcee has come into 5'8", and there was talk why didn't Ethan Sanders come in at halfback. And I think in the press conference Brad Arthur had today, he said that in this game he's looking for experienced players because that's what they need at the moment. So that's probably why Arcee has got the start instead of Sanders. He's dropped Mike Acevo, who hasn't been performing. He wants him to go back to New South Wales Cup and start putting in the effort areas. So he hasn't been dropped for ever, I think, since he's got to Parramatta. Bryce Cartwright comes back. He's got a bit of an rib injury, so he'll be needled up and he'll have to play through the pain. But yeah, he is back. So for the Cowboys as well, they've lost Zach Laybutt as well for the year with an ACL injury. So Tom Chester comes into the centre position for him, and a chance for him to secure that position for the season with Zach Laybutt out. So as I said, the Cowboys, they play some pretty good football up at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. They struggle sometimes away from home. I remember the Dragons game this year, the Dragons led them 18-0 or something like that, and the Cowboys eventually got them, but it was a bit of a slow start. So it'll be an interesting one. It's Old Boys Day as well at Parramatta, so a lot of the old Parramatta legends will be there as well. So that'll be interesting. So hopefully a big crowd there.
Yeah, I'll be hoping for that as well. So let's ask you another question before we kick on to the next game. Zach Lomax, everything's saying that he's going to be signing with the Eels 4 years for $2.6 million. What do you reckon? Is that a good choice? And if you sign him, he seems to want to play centre, right? I don't know. I'll be playing him as centre. So the Parramatta need a centre, so do they need him at centre? And I can't see him playing fullback. So, well, at the moment he looks like he'd be a winger. So,
yeah, well, he's playing at the moment for the Dragons on the wing. But yeah, news today that it looks like it's possibly coming close to being official, that it will be a 4-year deal starting in 2025, which will keep Zach at Parramatta until the end of 2028, I think it is. So yeah, he'll probably come as a centre to Parramatta, but he does have the ability to play fullback if need be. He can play wing if need be,
and bench, although he doesn't like bench.
Yeah, but also too, the other bonus for that is he can be a reliable goal kicker. He has struggled of late, but he can kick some goals as well. But coming to Parramatta, he probably won't have to worry about that with Gutho and Mitch Moses there as well. So that's just one thing that he won't have to concentrate on as much, which will be a good thing. He can just concentrate on his football. So that drama seems to be ending probably next week with maybe the official announcement. I think Coach Shane Flanagan at the Dragons has said that he's got no chance of coming to Parramatta this year. I don't think he will either, unless there's a major player swap to the Dragons that they'd be happy to get. So, but I don't think that will happen.
You know who I'd probably be going after if I was the Dragons from Parramatta? You'd probably want a Bryce Cartwright or someone like that, a different player that can play lock, can play second row, can play 5'8", could potentially sit in the centres for you as well, do a couple of different things. That might add some different value, but you still wouldn't be doing the swap for that for Zach Lomax because he can't kick, unfortunately. Oh, Brycey boy, so it might surprise me, might have been doing stuff in the off-season, but yeah, that'd be sort of player I might be looking for. Let's kick to the other game again for a second here. Storm of Bulldogs. What are the Bulldogs doing? And now leading 14-10. Seriously, I'll be 0 for 2 if that happens. But I actually hope it does happen. But like they're killing me tips doing it, I'm telling you. So absolutely smoking me.
Yeah, I'll be 0 from 2 as well, mate. Don't worry about that. So, mate, Josh Adokar, he's loving playing down in Melbourne. He's scored a triple so far. So who knows what'll happen? But still a long time to go.
Yes, right. The Rabbitohs up against the Sharks. So I got asked by Richard what I thought my problems were with the Rabbitohs at the moment. I said I don't think players got any respect for Jason Demetriou anymore. I think they've decided they're clocked off and don't want to play for him. And the other problem they've got is I think they're an old squad, right? So Latrell Mitchell's a good player, but he's not firing. Cody Walker is not firing, but I think he's on the slide. Same as Damien Cook. I think these guys have just gone up. They've been at the peak there for a fair while. Now they're coming down the other side, which happens, right? So you can play the best you can at 35 and you can't do it as good as you could when you're 25. Just you don't have the same physical acumen, no matter how fit or how well you look after your body. You just don't have that little extra bit of speed and all that stuff. And that's what it looks like is missing at Souths at the moment too, as well as the fact the players think they're running the whole team and show.
Yeah, look, it's certainly a strange situation that's going on at South Sydney at the moment. At the start of the year, I did question whether one of the teams that did go to Las Vegas, how they would react coming back, just because the fact that NRL has never been played over in Las Vegas before, and just interested to see how it happened. And it looks like that South Sydney are the club that are struggling out of going over there. Whether that's got to do anything to do with it or not, probably not. But definitely Latrell Mitchell, he's been in the news each and every week. This season, he's serving a 3-week suspension for an elbow to Sean Johnson, which probably would have been a bit of a brain snap, I guess. You just can't get away with those sort of things these days. He's very lucky that he didn't get any suspension for the lifting tackle. He probably maybe should have got 1 or 2 weeks for that as well, or 2 to 3 weeks for that. But he escaped penalty there. As you said, Cody Walker hasn't been firing this year. Whether he's still worried about the niggling injuries that he's got, because there was talk about him missing the first game of the year. And look, it's always a hard one, isn't it, or for me, about whether the coach is going to get the sack or not, because you've got the players on the field and you almost have to think, why don't the players want to win games of football? But is that their way of just trying to get rid of the coach by not playing what he wants and losing games? But they're sitting down in 17th position, and potentially a bit of a shining light might be Jai Gray coming into the fullback position for Latrell. That might inject a bit of excitement into the team. He's a good young player and can certainly do some good stuff on the field, but I can't see them getting the win against the Sharks this weekend in what maybe what everyone is talking about will be Jason Demetriou's last game as head coach of the South Sydney Rabbitohs. And during the week, it was interesting that Mal Meninga was touted as an interim coach if that did happen.
Yeah, that's right. So I actually think Mal Meninga, because he's expressed interest, will probably get that now. I think that's going to accelerate the whole thing with Jason Demetriou. It's not his fault the players aren't aiming up. They just look like they're giving up on the field, right? So they get beaten by stuff instead of chasing that last little bit down the last metre or 2 metres. It's that extra stuff and chasing people down when they get an intercept, chasing down, making sure they score in the corner instead of letting them score under the post. All that little stuff. Like,
yeah, the 1%.
Doing any of that. Yeah, they're not doing that anymore. If they drop the ball, they let the other team pick it up and they run off a bit. And even if they don't get a try, like, it's just like, there's no urgency about it now. It's like, well, this didn't come off. It didn't work. Now we're behind. We'll try again next week. So they're just like, no.
But also, don't
wrong.
forget too that middle of last year they were leading the competition, and then they had a massive slide and ended up not making the finals. So it's not just these first 5 weeks of this year; it was the back end of last year as well, where they were losing games as well. So something has been happening for quite a while.
So that's what I think's happened. I listened to the game, after I was coaching at Blacktown last year, Penrith against South. Penrith were leading 16-0 late into the game, like it was just a dour game. And then South came back a bit and Penrith got another try and South got close, a good like 22-16 or something. But what I saw from that was after that, South went on a bit more of a winning streak, got some more wins, stayed up near the top of the comp, stayed in the top of the comp till about round 10 or 12. And then that was it. They dropped off, lost like 5 or 6 out of 7 or 8 in a row. And then only won a couple more here and there, very inconsistent, and the discipline went out the window and have fallen away. So, yeah, you could just say it's been a bit of a long-term burn. So I think people in charge now are just trying to make contingency plans to try to turn it around, not just for now, but for next season as well. That might be what they're looking at, relieving Jason Demetriou now too, because if they get another coach now, when it comes time to start buying players for next year, they might be able to attract some better quality players by having a different person in charge. Next game, West Tigers and the Dragons. I can't remember who I tipped in this game. I think I tipped the Dragons because they've actually been pretty good lately. West Tigers look all right, but West Tigers still have the ability there to cop 30 or 40 points, right? So they haven't turned it around that much. The Dragons, they've got the ability to score 30 or 40 points and concede 30 or 40 points as well. I really don't know how it'll go. If it's a hot day on Sunday, I actually think even though I've probably tipped the Dragons, I think West Tigers might win. If the weather's a bit here or there, or between like 15 to 20, and normal weather or even bad weather, I think the Dragons have got a better chance of winning the game.
Yeah, look, this will be an interesting game out at Campbelltown Stadium out in the west, so the Western Suburbs Magpies home ground and one of the West Tigers home grounds. The Tigers find themselves in not only.
Oh, there you go, you're back.
Yeah, Tigers find themselves in 9th position on the ladder, so they're quietly back at home there in 9th position. But look, thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Keith Barnes as well, Balmain Tigers legend, who sadly passed away during the week. So he was a legend of the Balmain Tigers, CEO. He practically did everything, every role at the Tigers, so played for them. Golden Boots was his nickname. So the Tigers, they'll be motivated to get this victory for him this weekend. But as you said, the Dragons, they've been sort of a bit like a yo-yo, actually, to be honest. Like, they've played some great football at times. They've scored some great tries at times, but then they've also let in a lot of points at times as well. So they sit in 15th position on the ladder at the moment, and I don't think Coach Shane Flanagan will be happy at the moment of the way that they're going. As I said, they can score points and get wins, but they also let in a lot of points as well. So, look, this could be a bit of a toss of the coin game, whether who's going to win this game. I just think the Tigers at home will get the victory.
Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me. So this was a hard game to pick, right, because they're both starting to come into form, but hard to get a read on how good both of them are because they've done rebuilds and got new coaches. So the bottom teams are a little bit harder to gauge sometimes than the top teams. Either informal or not with the top teams. The bottom teams there can be a bit of changing and stuff like that. So, yeah, that could well happen. And on Sunday, 6:15pm, the Raiders take on the Titans. So I don't think the Titans are going to open their account this weekend. I think the Raiders are going to dispatch them. It's going to be pretty ugly. But my question is, answer that one. First, we'll talk about this, and then we'll see who you think the Titans are going to beat, who their first win will be against. So how do you think this one's going to go, Troy?
Oh, look, I think Canberra at home will probably put the cleaners through the Titans, unfortunately for Titans fans listening, but they have been struggling under new coach Des Hasler at the moment, and it's probably a good thing that they're up in Queensland, that the New South Wales people don't really hear a lot about the Titans and how badly they're going at the moment. As you said, haven't won a game yet. They've only got 2 points through the bye, so I think they will struggle this weekend. They're better players. Jaden Campbell and David Fafita got a couple of runs under their belt now, coming back from injury, so that's only good for them. There's been a bit of talk, I think, today that Tanner Boyd might be dropped from the halfback position. It hasn't been working there at the moment, so I'm not too sure who will come in for him, but there has been that little bit of talk there. But the Canberra Raiders, they've sort of been one of the improving teams as well along with Canterbury. They started off the year with a couple of wins, then they've had a couple of losses, and then they had a big win against Parramatta last weekend at home in the same time slot as well. So they'll be hard to beat. Chevy Stewart, he makes his NRL debut for the Raiders. Jordan Rapana is out with a knee injury that he suffered during the game last week. He'll be out for an extended period. So it'll be exciting to see how he goes. But look, I think Canberra will do this pretty comfortably down there in the nation's capital.
Yeah, I think they will too. So the funny thing is, Gold Coast had a really good halfback, and who knows why they let him go before Des Hasler got to come in and have any say with that. Toby Sexton's gone to the Bulldogs. He's not even playing every week. So, like, how dumb would you be feeling at the moment? Like, do you think Des Hasler will be thinking, I wish I still had him now, like at my disposal? Because he's like a pretty good organised playmaker, really.
Yeah, he is. He has been playing New South Wales Cup at the moment for the Bulldogs. So Drew Hutchinson has been getting that first grade spot. So, yeah, if Toby was still at the Gold Coast, he probably would have had a crack in that first grade spot after a few losses at the start of the year.
Yeah, for sure. So who do we reckon they're going to get their first win against next week? I actually think they've got a pretty good chance next week because I think these guys are hot and cold, and it's Manly, right? So I don't think they're going to. I don't think Manly are going to aim up every single week all the time. So they'll have an off week here and there, like they did a couple of weeks ago. If the Titans beat them next week, but at the Gold Coast, they would need to score first, second, maybe they're going to need to put a bit of a score on at the start, and I think that will break Manly down mentally, right? So I think you have a better chance to beat Manly if you can blow them a bit at the start there. I think they'll struggle, or you can make it an arm wrestle so they're not rolling over tries, because that's what they've seen they've been doing to everyone they played this year so far at the moment.
Yeah, look, as we've just been talking, I've just had a look at the Titans' draw for the rest of the year, and look, I don't know. I mean, rugby league's a strange game, but just the way that the Titans are going at the moment, I can't see them getting a win until round 14 or 15, to be honest.
Round
14 they play the Rabbitohs, and round 15 they play the Tigers at Leichhardt, so they may not even get that win. So it's going to be a tough year for the Gold Coast Titans by the looks of it.
Yeah. So I think they've got a couple of games where they've got a chance of getting a team on the bounce, right? So the Warriors, they won't win that game a week after. Round 9, maybe a chance against the Storm if the Storm are missing a few guys. If they're not, the Storm will belt them, right? It's not going to be good. Against the Cowboys, you could get lucky and get the Cowboys on an off day. That's hit or miss too. So Newcastle, there's every chance you'll get Newcastle and beat Newcastle.
That's magic round, so who knows, they might be able to pull a rabbit out of their hat and get a win in magic round against Newcastle. But Newcastle was semi-finalist last year, so yeah, they may even struggle there.
Yeah, so they'll be the best chance of winning that. Jack Cogger and Kalen Ponga, if they're missing a couple of them, or at least two of them, they got a better chance. Other than that, yeah, like I said, I don't think they're going to beat the Broncos at home. Then they got the bye. Then they got Rabbitohs. Like, if Rabbitohs are even half in form, they're going to be really hard to beat. If the Rabbitohs are playing like they are at the moment, they're going to get the win there. West Tigers, I wouldn't want to be trying to go to Campbelltown to get that win. They'd be up against it all the time there. Then they've got a bye after that. Round 18, and I don't think they're going to beat the Sharks at Shark Park.
Knowing my luck, they'll probably beat Parramatta at home in round 19.
Yeah. So just looking, they've realistically probably only got about 4 or 5 decent chance. If they don't get a win, like literally, they'll need to get Manly. I think you could get Manly next week. You got to get them on the bounce. So if the Seagulls had some sort of half decent win or whatever this weekend, I think you've got a bit of a chance of copping them on the bounce there. So, but if they lose to the Warriors, I don't think they're going to beat the Seagulls next week. Let's have a look at this other game. Oh, thankfully, Melbourne Storm are back in front 16-14.
Just gone full time, and the Storm have won by 2 points. So
there you go.
As I said, the Bulldogs are probably the most improved side of 2024. So they really stretched the Melbourne Storm, but Melbourne come away with a win.
Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know, next week we're at Hawkesbury Show, so going to be in the show on Friday night from 5 p.m. till 8 p.m. So I'm hoping you'll be able to make it on air with us next week. So for that, so at least for a phone-in chat. And the other thing is I'm commentating for Penrith Rugby League now. So this weekend I'll be out calling A-grade women's game out at Basil Andrews Oval at Riverstone. So for, who is it? St Mary's against Riverstone Razorbacks out there. So for the women's A grade, and then I've got the second division grand final replay from last year, which is Hawkesbury City up against Riverstone as well. So going to be 2 good games on Sunday. So have you been following the local rugby league much at all, Troy?
To be honest, no. I haven't been following the local rugby league. I probably should have, I guess, but for those listening, I used to play for the Penrith Waratahs back in the day when I was a youngster. So that's the affiliation that I have with local rugby league. The Penrith Waratahs, played for them for 6 years, 9s to 15s, won a joint premiership and some good times, and really got me involved in the liking rugby league.
Yeah, and they've got a side again this year for the first time in probably, I think, at least 4 or 5 years back in the A-grade men's competition. It's not first grade, it's in second division, so but still it's good to see they've got a presence again. And have you been past the field out there, Doug Rennie Field at Kingswood lately? That is an impressive field with impressive facilities too. Very good condition these days.
I'll have to take a drive by and have a look.
Yeah, I strongly suggest you do. That's like even out at Riverstone. So on Sunday, looking forward to going out there. Not sure where they're going to film it from. If they're going to do it from up in the grandstand part or from down on the sideline. Either doesn't bother me in particular. So looking forward to cutting my teeth in the local rugby league competition and getting to get in with the masses as such.
You're a busy man, mate. Busy man.
100%. So I've got 7 jobs for anyone who doesn't know.
Wow.
So yeah, working 7 days and 6 nights. So I'm pretty busy most of the time. I can understand why my missus gets a bit upset, but just needs to calm down and relax. It's all good. So I've got time for her on Tuesday nights. She just needs to allocate time myself. So she needs to be more thoughtful and think about me. So there you go. So for any women out there, I'm just joking. So if you want to ring in and complain, 0434 440 553. Tell me what you think. But there you go. What do you got coming up this weekend, Troy, and what's happening on the Paracay podcast?
So at the moment on the podcast front, I've got a game day preview out of the Eels and Cowboys with Sam Revel from Wobbling Jaw Sports. So that's out now. He's a big Cowboys fan, so we had a bit of a chat the other day about the game coming up tomorrow. I'll be at the game tomorrow and hopefully catch up with a few of the legends of Parramatta Eels at the Leagues Club, Parramatta Leagues, and catch up with them and have a chat and get a bit of a picture maybe, and maybe see if I can get a couple of them on the podcast as well. And then on Sunday it's my mum's birthday, so we'll be getting together and we may have Sunday lunch together somewhere, or we may even just go out for a coffee somewhere. I know she loves a good coffee, so it's her birthday on Sunday, so that's what we'll be doing, and then probably chatting to you in the afternoon and watching some footy in between as well somehow.
100%. So yeah, I wish your mum a happy birthday on Sunday there, and go to 7-Eleven. It's only $1 coffee, so it's not very good $1 coffee, but it's still $1. So your mum might be burning angry.
I'll put it in a fancy cup and she won't know the difference.
Yeah, that's right. Gift wrap it and give it to her, and then she'll spill it, and there you go. Well, it's the thought that counts, Mum. That's all that really matters. So.
That's it.
Yeah, anyway. All right. Thanks for joining us tonight, Troy. And I look forward to having a chat with you on Sunday night.
Not a problem, Duckman. Thank you. Enjoy your footy over the weekend.
Absolutely will do.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. See you next time.